Hey, it's Lindsay with Ryan and Rose. I have Bob Furness here. You've seen him in my stories if you've been following along a few years, and you know my love for him and his family and Keesha and the Keesha Warrior Princess Foundation. And so I just wanted him to come on here today and just kind of talk about what the foundation stands for and what their goal is and how Ryan and Rose can help him getting out his message and just doing some amazing stuff. So I'm gonna let Bob lead and just kind of let us know about yourself.
So thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. It's so great to be back talking to you, because in some ways you and your organization and your community are the reason why, is part of why we exist as fast as we did. Your donations back at the beginning, we didn't have a website, we didn't have a social, we had an idea. And you believed in our idea much earlier than a lot of people would have around an idea. But so thank you, and thank you to the community for your support over the last 2 to 3 years. The reason why we're here is not a good thing. The reason why we're here is because our daughter, who was Keesha Furness, was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer when she was just 30 years old. And I remember when I got the call from my wife that night, and there was a lot of things that she could have said was wrong with my daughter, but breast cancer just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Breast cancer is something you get as a woman in your 40s and 50s and 60s, right. Not at 30 years old. So she was just a warrior, and somewhere around 6 months in, I called her a warrior princess, as just a me and her kind of thing,
right?
Which became part of her persona online. She lived a lot of what she did, as you know, online, between her friends, and she had a following of her story. And I remember asking her, can I tell your story? Is it okay if I tell your story? Do you want to be private about this? And she goes, no, help me tell the story. So
right.
We began to write and talk about the things that she was going through. And so she fought for 4 short years. I'm sure there were some long days. But before she died in 2017, November of 2017, so we're coming up on another anniversary of that. But even while she was sick, we began to talk about this idea of the simplicity of what could have happened. We tell this story because we tell a story which is really painful, so that other people don't go through it.
Right.
Like, if I can use her story for good,
right,
then that's a good thing.
And just getting out the word,
Yeah.
it's so important.
Yeah, and our mission. So we do have a website now. It's warriorprincess.org. We do have socials. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can find us under Keesha Warrior Princess, Keesha, on any of those socials. We are still at the beginning. We had this awesome response recently from City Current here in Memphis, which, if you know, is the sort of a nonprofit that supports nonprofits. And we were surprised that at our level, our size, and our beginning to have that. But again, it reminded me of you. You sort of believed in us before we were something, and we're still trying to figure out a little bit of who we are. But most recently, we've come up with 2 very important next steps. One is we're about to release a shower card, reminder card that you hang on your shower head, sort of like a door knocker, that has the steps for a self-exam.
I love that.
And we're working on an app for a reminder app that you can set your monthly reminder for self-exams, and then set your annual reminder for your annual OBGYN appointment. Yeah. it's a simple message. It's a little weird for a dad to be telling it, right? You would expect my wife to be here. So let me tell you about how that happened.
Okay.
I wrote an article for the Commercial Appeal here in Memphis, the newspaper, that was entitled, "The Question Every Dad Should Ask His Daughter."
It was such a good article. Like, I hope don't get emotional. Read it. We're talking about it. Okay, keep going.
And as a dad, I asked my daughter, have you been to the dentist? I asked my daughter, are you careful in the parking lot?
Right.
I asked her, are you checking when you open the door? Are you making sure you know who's behind it? Like all those dad questions. But I never said, are you going to the gynecologist?
Right.
So I wrote this article from that perspective and with the hashtag #AskHer, and it didn't go viral, but
Right.
it went local
A lot
viral.
of people saw it.
Commercial Appeal wouldn't tell me exactly how many times it's been clicked, but it's one of the few articles that's still out there from 3 years ago that's still being clicked on. He said it was one of their most popular editorial articles that they've had in a long time.
I think one thing that most people don't realize is, like you said, Keesha was so young. Me and Keesha are the same age. So like when we go to the same church and we were in the same small group as Keesha, and so like seeing her go through this, it was hard. You know, I had little kids, and like just thinking about like, wow, like what if that was me? You know, like I never got checked, and so like right after that happened, I went to the doctor and I was like, I'm gonna do this every year. I'm gonna do this, and it's because of Keesha. But I think, like you said, it's so important because it's such a simple message. It's check yourself.
Check yourself every month, one time, at least once a month. I read something the other day that said, again, coming from a dad, there's no wrong way to check yourself. It's knowing your body.
Right.
And I'm not supposed to be talking about this. When I have a board meeting with my all-female board,
Yeah.
We get into some conversations, and I'll hang up the phone on Zoom and I'll say, okay, I never expected to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't think I knew that what you just said about you.
Oh yeah. I think after I don't remember, it was 2017, so I guess it was right after I had Charlie, I had a lump, and we went and I got a mammogram, and luckily it was just from having a baby and all that, but like you never know. Like you never know. So it can definitely be a scary time, but like you said, like if she would have went earlier, she might still be here. But because of what happened, you have a beautiful message to save more people's lives.
We don't know what was missed. We know that there were signs that after the fact she thought she had asthma,
Right.
or she thought she was a daycare teacher. She loved kids.
Yeah.
She loved your kids. She loved kids. Period. End of sentence.
Right.
Exclamation point. But she just wasn't doing the basics. And the basics are self-exam and going to the gynecologist. I'll tell you a quick story, one more quick story. We just had somebody that's a friend go to a doctor, and she asked her regular doctor, can you tell me where to go to the gynecologist? Can you recommend a gynecologist?
Right.
And he said, oh, you're too young for a gynecologist. You don't need to go to a gynecologist.
Oh wow.
And that just doesn't jive with what our cancer doctor says.
Right.
What our oncologist has told Keesha is that every woman should be going at least once a year, whether you're, and again, to get specific, whether you're having sex, whether you're married, whether you're having children, no matter what that is,
Right.
It's still important that because the simplicity of it sometimes gets lost, right?
Yeah.
Because it's too simple.
Well, it's like we usually think, well, oh, doesn't everybody do that? But then you're like, no, they don't, because life's crazy. And especially now during COVID and like not going to the doctor. Like, so it's like there should be a lot of information. We wish there was more information out there, but like, okay, how to do this, or what, what are the steps?
So that's our goal. There's definitely on our website a lot of information about how to do it. There's a great video on how to do a self-exam. There's details about resources and those kind of things. And one of the things that we're hoping to do as we raise money and become bigger is that we began to support for women that cannot afford to go to the doctor, that we
Right.
do some of that support also. So in those areas where it's needed.
Is there an age that, like, I know Ryan, she's 8, but she's, already starting to mature, and is there a certain age that any specialists have, like, recommended that?
I think the cutoff that we've talked about is 25.
Okay.
But some of the things that I've read recently say that it really depends also on what your family history is.
Okay.
So if I look back, my grandmother had breast cancer later in years. So my mom did not, and my wife Susan, Keisha's mom, did not. So she probably didn't fit any of those 19 to 25 kind of environments. There is an organization, Daisy Wheel, I believe, is the organization that has some information about starting as young as 10 or 12, learning how to do that. So there are evidently some medical reasons for it at that age, but I think a lot of that has not to do with the disease, but with the consistency of that. Our demographic is 25 to 45.
Okay.
And the reason why we sort of cut off at 45 is because that's where the AMA starts beginning to talk about mammograms.
Okay.
And so prior to that, it's really a little bit of self-check.
Yeah.
And as one of my board members, Hannah, talks about, it's the empowerment to know what you're looking for and the empowerment to be able to tell your doctor, this is what I found.
Right.
It could be nothing. It probably is nothing,
Right.
From what we understand, but it could be something.
Yeah. I think it's just the easy steps to prevent something. You know what I mean? You just never know.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
I know Keesha lived a beautiful life. I love following along on Facebook and just seeing all that y'all did. I mean, she lived life to the fullest, no doubt.
Well, as a dad, there was one thing I couldn't fix. I couldn't fix the cancer.
Yeah.
But I could take her to a Pittsburgh Steelers game, and I could take her to Denver.
She liked Luke Bryan, didn't she?
To say she liked Luke Bryan is a little bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
She loved Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
I think 10 times she's seen him, and
Wow.
I think 5 over the 4 years. So we did try to do as much. A friend of hers said after she died that she did more in 4 years than she had done in her entire life.
Oh my gosh, she did.
But that was, and if you have somebody in your life that has cancer, or in whatever form, or somebody that has been diagnosed with something that's chronic, we used to say terminal. I've counseled some of my friends recently whose parents or brothers or sisters are in that situation, that we tried to put something in front of her about every 3 weeks. So we would walk out of a Luke Bryan concert talking about going to the mountains,
Right.
or we would walk out of the zoo talking about going to a Luke Bryan concert.
Right.
So I believe that her attitude and her warrior mentality.
She was, I mean, even till the very, I mean, I just remember the roller coaster of what y'all had to go through, that she fought. Like, even on the races, like, we'd be out there and she, you could tell she was so tired, but she was there and she was fighting and she was, and.
So proud of her.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then I feel bad because I'm over here complaining about a headache, but she was a fighter. She was a warrior. She, I don't know. I think what's crazy is because, like, even sometimes when I think about my life and what the Lord has done for me and Ryan and Rose and, like, the platform he's given me, this is the reason he gave me this platform, to educate, to not only bring people close to the Lord, but to educate simple truths about mammogram, self-checks, and, like, this is what this platform is for.
Well, I can't understand why she died so early, but my wife and I can make good out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Always see the positive.
Absolutely.
There's always a positive. So we are really excited because this is third year.
Third year.
Oh my goodness. Today I was like, How long have we been?
3 years.
Right? Oh my gosh. So this is year
That's how
3.
long this has been. This embryo has been in our brains for
Yeah.
about 3 years for
Okay.
starting this.
That's awesome.
I bought the warriorprincess.org URL
Okay.
almost 3 years ago.
Wow. So it's cool to say like it's.
You were part of the beginning.
Yes,
yeah,
like
you
that's
really
really
were.
a cool thing to see what God's done.
Right.
So this is year 3. Last year, I'm pretty sure it was an Olivia and a Jane, and we donated all the proceeds to the Keesha Warrior Princess Foundation. And we have 3 new clips that are now available, and 100% of the proceeds are also going to the Warrior Princess Foundation. Their logo, I love her. I love y'all's logo. Like the black, the pink, and the white, and that's kind of what this Danny clip, we use some inspiration from it. And then we have the Betty, and then we have a new clip called the Tatas to remind you to self-check.
We just love that. We love the irreverence of that
Yes.
clip. But the reminder,
Yeah.
I wear this bracelet to remind me first to pray for her, and then to
Yeah.
remind me of the importance of her life and to live the way she lived those
beautiful.
last 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
So we're really excited. We hope this is just the start of many, many, many years to come and more education and just getting the word out. So, but where can they find you on social and the website?
You can find us on the website at warriorprincess.org. You can search for it or just type in warriorprincess.org. On Facebook, we're at Keesha Warrior Princess, which is the name of the foundation. And on Instagram, you can also search Keesha Warrior Princess to find us. Twitter is the same way.
Awesome.
If you type in Keesha Warrior Princess, you'll find us. We would love for you to join us as your community amazingly does. I talk about your community all the time in a business perspective when I'm trying to explain to somebody the power of social media.
Oh yeah.
But we'd love for you to like our pages and join us so that you can keep up to date. We're trying to become more active in social, and there is a place online on the website that you can actually sign up with your email address, and we will send you one of those shower cards as soon as they become available.
Oh,
if you
that's
do that.
awesome. Yeah, and I think what's cool is like this is also encouraging our community to educate others. So like
Correct.
what you've learned here, we would love for you to share this video or to just tell people, hey, have you done your self-check? I mean, we have a group of friends and we're always like checking on how can I pray for you? How can I do this? We can do the same thing and be like, hey, have you checked your breast this month? You know, like easy things, just loving on everybody.
We have a new hashtag we're gonna roll out it eventually. Self-check selfies.
Yes.
To just a picture that reminds, so that you do remind others. That's really what our message is
Yeah.
sharing this story of Keesha
Right.
to help stop this crazy disease.
Right. Oh, I'm so thankful for you coming today and
Thank
being
you.
here and sharing Keesha's story. Again, all of the proceeds from so these are 3 different clips, but they're all going to be named Keesha. That way, you know the Keesha. All the proceeds goes to the Keesha Warrior.
Keesha.
Yes, that's it. So thanks for watching. Please share. We will see y'all next time.
Thank you.